Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your host Joe Scott. I'm joined here by Tony Tenzilati. How are you, Tony?
Bonjour. I'm doing very good. Some weird news today though. Oh yeah, I would say today, but for this last few weeks.
I was confused staring at the podcast because apparently I'm streaming in 1440p. I was
Oh, what?
yeah, I didn't know that was possible on Twitch. Maybe I know there's a way to stream in 4040p on Twitch if you lower your bitrate enough that there's like a bitrate cap, and if you change your bitrate you can technically stream in like 1440p that way, but apparently I'm streaming in 4040p 60. I didn't think that was even possible.
No, yeah, same 40p 60 source. So, okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, if this looks good or awful, let me know because I have no idea. Right. Let's get on.
Wait, number AV1 of they?
I think I would know about it if they added AV1 encoding.
Okay. It'd be pretty big news.
Welcome to the Inbetween podcast news. Host Joe Scott, and I'm joined here by Tony Tenzilati. This week, we've got coming up Steam Deck OLED news. It's finally here. It was rumored with those weird Bluetooth changes. Was it in which country was it that it was leaked in? It was like one of the Asian countries.
Korea,
right?
South
Yeah.
Korea. Yeah.
And Hades is coming to iOS. Tony, what are you excited to talk about this week?
I'm sorry. Yahtzee's finally gone independent. Second wind. Here we go.
He's got his second wind, yeah.
Yeah, new Solaris DLC and update on the same day you could buy the Steam Deck OLED, funnily enough.
Well, Tony, okay. I just want to, quickly, have you seen my webcam? It's the Star Trek TOS set.
Yeah.
So
good.
I wanted to find this, like an animated version of the set of TNG, but I couldn't find one. But I found this fucking awesome TOS version. I think this looks sick.
Yeah.
You can see like all the blinking panels and stuff behind me. It looks really cool.
It's really cool. Like I prefer like the TNG look to like the TOS look, but the TOS still looks fantastic.
Oh, I just love like the elevator has random handles for no reason. There's just flashing lights everywhere. Every screen is a projector screen. It's great. I love how like just practical everything is for the 60s.
But I really like the TNG look. Like I feel like the more we get like messy UI stuff, the more I look back and go, you know what? If this was based on the TNG UI, it would actually be much better.
Yeah. But yes, Tony, this week I beat Super Mario Wonder. We did a tangerine on it, and I have been 100%ing Super Mario Wonder. So I've finished all of the courses. I've got all of
really hard one.
I've got all the purple coins. I got all the standees, which is like the multiplayer standee things you put down. They're like checkpoints you can put down for multiplayer. And I beat the final level, 100% of that, and then it's like here's the final level called the Badge Marathon. You have to beat the entire thing in pretty much one-ish go. There's like one or two checkpoints. You basically have to beat like a gauntlet of every single badge, and I spent 99 lives on it. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna play something else. Like this is it's like Victory Road level. I got pretty I kept getting to the spring badge, and you have to like, so there's an expert badge, or like it's called like a master badge or something, where basically they're designed to give you like super powerful moves, but they give you like a massive negative, where there's a badge where you jump high, but you can't stop constantly jumping.
There's always a
and then you have to try and like platform around these spinning fire things. I was going nuts. I was like, because every time I died, I didn't restart the spinning thing. I had a checkpoint. I would then have to go crouching high jump into wall jump, and then I would go back to that part, and it was just like, it was tough. I got pretty far, but I knew after that point I would have to beat the other expert badges, so I'd have to beat the invisible badge, which fuck you, Nintendo, for designing a platforming badge that makes you invisible, so you can't actually see where you are. And I was like, you know what? I'm like 99.9% of this game. Maybe I'll just play something else. I I don't need that completionist badge.
No,
Like
no,
I went back and I completed that fucking jump level, or what it's called,
yeah,
climb
yeah,
level. And the entire time I hated myself, and I was like, I hate this level. I don't want to play it. But I beat it because I wanted to check a box on a list that said I 100% of the game. And I was like, you know what?
no.
Fuck this shit. I don't want to play this
It's not
anymore.
worth it.
And I was like, you know
Life
what?
is finite.
This is so punishing and hard. I'll play something more relaxing instead. So I started playing hardcore classic WoW. Um,
Back,
I
back,
knew
back to the old,
I
old
don't know.
book then.
The whole of BlizzCon, I was shitting on like everything. I was like, this is so boring. But I did say I think the classic stuff looks really interesting.
Yep,
Like this, I
yep.
think everyone is super hyped for Season of Discovery right now.
Yeah,
Um,
it sounds really interesting.
I so yeah, I played Nostarius, the private server, right? Way
Yeah,
before Classic WoW was out, and I was like, you know what? Maybe Classic WoW's not for me, but actually going back and playing it in hardcore, I think one of the weakest things about Classic WoW is the early game leveling, and
yeah,
playing it in hardcore makes early game leveling so much more engaging than it did when it was not hard. It was like before, it was like, oh, I'd have to wait around for mobs to spawn. Oh, I fucking died, whatever, I'll just respawn and play again. But it's like seeing a mob that's a level higher than me is terrifying. In classic WoW hardcore, it's like, oh
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. Because they can
Um,
fuck you.
like I did the run from the Eastern Kingdoms to Kalimdor. I wanted to go to Darkshore, but I have to go through the wetlands, and I was like level 13 or something like that. And it was like there's these crocs in the wetlands across the path that are like level 20. And if they get you, you're done. Your character's gone. And I was like, oh shit. So the entire time I had the most intense walking session across the wetlands. And I was like, fuck, don't aggro any crocs. Don't aggro any crocs. I aggroed a croc and I was like, oh fuck. But I was a rogue and I saved my sprint specifically in case I aggroed a crocodile. So I managed to run away from him without dying. But yeah,
Do you have to ask for that before you get hit, or can you do
no,
it like
there's
while
like
you
a
do
leash
you go?
range.
Okay.
That basically I have when you aggro someone, it'll pop up on the screen that says you're in combat, or at
Yeah.
least it does for me because I have 500 add-ons installed.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
soon as I installed Classic WoW, before I started playing Classic WoW, I literally went on because I installed Curse Forge recently, and because it's a standalone app and you don't need Overwolf, and I was like, oh, I'll download it and try it out, and I just started downloading WoW add-ons, and I was like, "Oh yeah, if I'm gonna play, I'll download this, and if I'm gonna play, I'll download this, and if I'm gonna play, I'll download." Because I've been watching a shit ton of hardcore classic WoW on Twitch. It's like one of the most popular things on Twitch right now, and I keep watching it, and I'm like, "That looks really fun. I love World of Warcraft." And I said to one of my friends, I was like, "Hey, do you want to play?" as a joke, and he was like, "Yeah, well, I have a sub. I just always pay for it. If you want a sub, I'll play with you." I was like, "Okay." So I just subbed for a month, and I've been playing Classic WoW. I've been playing for like a week now, I think it is, or something like that. And
Well, yeah. What level did you go on to?
I haven't got very far, and I'm also pissing out making new characters because
Yeah.
I keep like
Well, when you die,
well, I haven't died, but it's like
well,
I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm always running out of bag space, and I'm like, well, it'd be really useful if I had a tailor. So I was like, I'll just make a mage quickly and level up tailing and get some bags,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I'm
It's kind of
playing.
interesting that it's like kind of encouraged. That I quite like that. It's like
Well, I think they're trying to encourage you to join a guild, but every guild I
yeah,
get
that's
invited
well,
to is
yeah.
just an absolute spam fest of just people. It invites
Oh, yeah, well,
everyone on the server,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm
Because you were
just
just
like,
running around there inviting
I've
you.
been pretty much just leveling up solo at this point. I was supposed to play with my friend, but my friend is a fucking trucker, and he has no
Yeah,
time to play right now.
an ice
So
road trucker.
yeah, so I was like, because I started a character with him, and I was like, I'll start another character I'll play when I'm not playing with him, and I pretty much haven't
Yeah.
played my original character. I've just been playing my my Angry Michael character, my Scorn Records character.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll send you. So they have a classic WoW armory. So this is my character. I sent you a link. I can pull it up on the screen, I guess. They should have a 3D model view of what my character looks like because I've seen other people's ones, but I can't seem to get it to work for me. But you can.
Why do I have to click to unlock the 3D viewer?
So you can rotate it.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, there is.
See a 2D image.
No, there isn't a 2D image. It should be like a 3D model of what my character looks like in the game, but I think either it's broken on like the browser I'm using, or it's just broken right now. But that's the gear. If you hover over the gear, you can see like what gear I've got. +2 agility, huge. It's like, man, like getting a piece of gear in Classic is so fucking rewarding. It's insane. Just like getting +10 armor on my boots or something like that. I'm like, fuck yeah, finally.
Your belt has +3 agility.
Yeah, big time. I can't wait to get rings, and I can't wait to get shoulder pads and a helmet and trinkets and stuff. Like, that's going to be big. And so much of your damage early game is just straight up weapon damage. Just hitting things is really important in WoW Classic early game, because you're just constantly smacking things. Well, you're playing a Warlock, aren't you?
With you, I was playing Druid.
Right. Because actually,
the bear.
One of the best hardcore Classic characters is actually Warlock, because
I liked Warlock. I think I played is it Mage? Like when I was like in the trials and demos and things.
I think Warlock's really good because you can get a pet, which means you can get that to tank. You can get like a Void Walker, which tanks stuff, and they also have super high survivability. You have a thing called a Health Stone, which you get, which basically you can. It's like a free health potion you get. You can life drain. Like Warlocks have super high. They have like demon skin. You can like super high survivability. But yeah, originally I was like, wouldn't it be really funny to get level 60 on Hardcore Classic with a Boomkin? Because if you don't know, Boomkin in Classic is a fucking meme spec. Because Boomkin, you kill one mob and you're out of mana, and you have to sit down and drink a bunch of water. Basically, they're like every other caster but worse, because they deal less damage and they go constantly. So it's just like, okay, there's a couple of meme, like Ret Paladins are a meme spec in Classic. Druid's kind of a meme spec in general, to be honest, in Classic, because Feral Rogue's a worse version of Rogue. Feral Druid is a worse version of Rogue. Bear Druid is a worse tank version of Warrior, because you can't hold threat. And then Resto, you would rather have a Priest. So it's just like,
It did feel like the worst of all the worlds, but like it was like, but you can beam multiple of them.
But for me, I'm not in a guild. I'm not going to raid. I'm just going to try and solo level and get to 60. That's kind of the fun I'm having. I'm actually enjoying just questing. There's so much stuff you forget about, like Classic World of Warcraft. I was like, I need to mail myself something. I can just send that over and immediately get it. No. In Classic, it's an hour to send mail, even to yourself. An hour of real time. And it's just like, there's so much stuff you forget that was in Classic that just is like, was quality of life away. But you know what, Tony? I've been playing, like, I should have /played my character before the podcast, but I've been playing for such a long time, and there were so many people that are saying no changes, right? And after playing Classic WoW for a while now, I kind of get where they're coming from. It is like the perfect storm of random design decisions. If you change one of them, it's gonna create like a knock-on effect. I do think there's space.
Season thing is idea.
There is space for stuff like Classic Plus, like the season of Discovery or whatever. Right? I think there is space for that.
I'm really curious how that turns out.
And because I've got to level 19. I think Season of Discovery, the first phase, is going to be capped to 20. So I've already done a lot of the... I kind of know what I'm doing now to level up to get to that point. So I've got a bit of experience there.
You got the AI voice add-on as well for like the non-voice actors, which I thought was really good.
Basically, a add-on maker took the NPC like gossip text of like, "Hello there, stranger. How's it going?" And they took that and they trained it on an AI model, and they got them basically... There's a lot of text in Classic WoW, and they basically trained the model with the voices of the NPCs in the game and got them to read it out. And it's just like, I know so much more about like what I'm doing and what's going on based on running around and listening to
Yeah.
what the quest giver's actually saying to me.
Oh, that's quite good as well because you can close it and they'll just keep on going so that you don't have to like stand there and listen. So
Yeah.
those like actually implemented
And
quite well.
Tony, as people may or may not know from our spotlight of WoW Peggle, I've been playing WoW Peggle again. It's
Oh
always
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I gotta go on a flight path for 5 minutes.
We
That lets me knock out some levels on WoW Peggle, get some new talents.
Oh yeah, you were telling me like when you were streaming it to be like on Discord, it's like you sometimes just walked even though there was a flight pass, you had no money.
Yeah, I legitimately was like, I can't afford to fly somewhere. I'm gonna walk. It's gonna take
Yeah,
way faster, but I need to walk this because I can't. Like, everything is so expensive in that game. Like,
yeah.
what's
That
really
is kind of
funny
cool.
is
Quite a lot.
I'm playing on the Stitches EU server, but a lot of the big streamers are playing on the American server, and they were saying, man, there's a big uh, they were worried about the economy getting inflated from lots of people playing and then basically buying gold or whatever, right? Um,
Yeah.
but they were saying a lot of these streamers are getting like massive handouts. Like I think Pokimane went in the game and got like 2,000 gold and then like died immediately
Oh
to some
gee.
Murlocs. And they were like, yes, they're helping the economy come back down by just deleting all of this money from the economy.
Yeah. Just
Which
burn
I was
it.
like, that is a pretty funny part about like hardcore WoWs. You actually can just delete money from the economy by having characters die. But yeah, it's so
2,000 gold is
insane
insane.
to log into Classic WoW and be surrounded by like loads of other people all the time, constantly. Like
Yeah.
just being like, oh fuck, I need to kill 10 trolls. Oh, there's a guy over there, invite him to my group. Now I'm playing with this guy. Oh, this guy's probably doing the quest as well. You make organic groups. You
Yeah.
sometimes
I remember that. You
sometimes you
just
talk
play
to
together.
people, and then
Yeah.
it's like, man, this game's actually designed in a good way to force you to socialize with people and make friends and be like, oh well, this guy does this profession and he could help me out later, or I may need to, oh, I could go to a dungeon with this guy because we're about the same level, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
It's
is like
just
an
it was a cool
interesting thing,
experience.
yeah.
I remember talking to like tons of people just in
Mm.
the trial alone, which I think is like capped at 19. I can't remember how they
That
did
was
it now. It's like either
that was the trial
time
for
based.
non-classic WoW because there is no trial for classic WoW.
No, I only started in Wrath. I started doing trials.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it was before Cataclysm.
I thought you didn't. I convince you to play on Nostarius at
Yeah,
some point or something.
yeah. I had to I
I thought that's
had
where you
an
played a
account or
warlock.
something. I played a Warlock then, yes. But then we also played proper WoW as well, and I played a Druid.
Mm.
I think it was like a similar time.
Right. Yeah,
'Cause-
but because so with the WoW sub now, you just pay for, if you have a WoW sub, you can play the classic static realm, which is what I'm on, which is where the hardcore WoW is. Then, if I wanted to, I can go and I can play on the progressive server, which right now is on Wrath until I think it's August next year, which will be going to Cataclysm. But who the fuck wants to play Cataclysm? I might play Wrath. Wrath's one of my favorite expansions. I love Wrath.
yeah,
Like
it's really good.
I've played private servers of Wrath, so I might actually check that out once I'm finished with hardcore, which will be when I die probably. And
At
then
59.
I technically have a sub to retail, and I could play on retail. I just kind of don't want to. I mean, I don't have Dragonflight, so I don't have the newest expansion. So if I wanted to play current content, I would have to buy Dragonflight. But it's like I just don't really want to. I've just been logging into Classic WoW, playing hardcore, really enjoying it. I don't feel like I'm wasting my sub by not playing retail. I don't know.
You're playing the quest before it got fucked by the dragon, right?
Yeah. Pre Deathwing coming along, and
Yeah.
destroying everything. It is interesting to see like all these lore characters before they got changed, and like if you go to Stormwind, I think it is in the castle, you can speak to Bolvar Four Dragon, which if you don't know is the guy that becomes the new Lich King in Wrath of the Lich King. So it's interesting to see
Oh,
like
right.
different characters there. which I think also gets murdered by fucking Sylvanas at the start of Shadowlands for some reason.
Yeah.
You said to me the other day, you were like, who is the leader of the Horde? And I said, I actually have no idea. I haven't played since Battle for Azeroth, so I actually have no idea, because Sylvanas was, but then she went evil for some reason, even though people kept saying, no. Blizzard, there's payoff to this. The Blizzard writers are fantastic.
Blizzard knows what they're doing.
And then they were like, she's a bad person, and everyone's like, oh, okay. It's like Garrosh, right? Because they've done this twice. Because Thrall was like such a good war chief for the Horde.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, he's going to go and become a shaman, and he's going to, warn everyone about the Cataclysm. And they had Garrosh take over. And then in MoP, Garrosh goes crazy, he gets corrupted, and you have to go and kill Garrosh. So they did this plot, and then they had Vol'jin take over. He gets killed in BFA. And then they were like, oh, Sylvanas will take over. And then they had Sylvanas go evil, and you have to... I don't know if you fight Sylvanas or whatever, but...
Yeah. Well, there's no Lich King at the moment either, right? Because she killed the...
I have no idea.
How does that work? I thought that always had to be... Like, did they just forget their own lore at this point?
They've gone
to... Am I just missing something?
Well, with Shadowlands, they basically even brought back Cac. They had, like, the jailer who was, like... who looks after all of the dead people or something. Like, I think with BlizzCon this year, people were very much like, we want WoW 2.0. We basically have said, you have power creeped the lore so much that we're literally fighting universe-destroying gods, and it just makes no sense.
Not interesting. No.
Like, can't we just go and fight a dragon in a field? Like, can't we just go back to that or something?
How can you go from fighting like some earth-shattering event and then go, oh, now you have to fight the other faction? It's like, well, it's not. They're not as powerful.
Like literally, one of the bosses in Classic WoW is like Onyxia. You just go and you go into a cave and you fight a dragon, and that's the whole fight.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like crazy about it.
And the Lich King seems so big and powerful, but he's nowhere near like as powerful as like the other stuff, I suppose. But they just felt like a threat, at least from the cinematic stuff that I saw.
Yeah, probably not going to do a Tangerine on WoW Classic Hardcore. I don't think it's a great... I don't know if there's that much to say about it, because...
We said a lot about it already.
Yeah, I talked about it a lot already, but I'm having fun, and maybe I will... If I keep playing, and maybe if I play Season of Discovery, I'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, that's the end of the month, right?
November 30th, so in about like a week and a half.
I think that'd be interesting to look at.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Let's move on to trailers. Dead by Daylight Stranger Things is back. So I don't know if you remember this, but the Dead by Daylight's chapter of Stranger Things is actually a move from purchase by Netflix because they wanted to protect their IP or something. Is what they were saying.
That's definitely how that works.
And everyone was like, "What the? But you've already made it,
and you licensed it."
So for me, I already had it, so I was still able to play as Steve and Nancy because I already purchased the DLC. But you weren't able to purchase it anymore, and they removed the Hawkins Lab map. Now they're bringing back the DLC and they're re-adding Hawkins Lab, so you'll be able to play as that. Which is like, okay, I just don't really understand why they removed it in the first place. But, Tony, I keep saying it's Dead by Daylight is the Smash Bros. Crossover of the horror universe. Yep. We've got a brand new announcement. Chucky is coming to Dead by Daylight. I think this is so good. I just got done watching the video of how he works in the game, and it is so hilarious. He basically... He's like a little stealth character. He's super tiny, and he runs around, and he just like leaps at you with a knife as like his attack.
Oh, okay.
And the way they handled picking up survivors was his spirit that possessed the doll picks him up, and then he uses that to pick up the character. I've never seen the Chucky films, but apparently that's how the lore works, where he has a spirit that possessed the doll, and they're trying to use that. Like, all I'm going to say to Behavior Interactive is, if you get a bunch of Chuckies, right, and you make them look like gremlins...
yeah.
Then I say,
together as one.
We've had Chucky, we've got Freddy, we got Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, we've got Michael Myers. You know, we've got tons of these horror icons, And I believe they also add Gremlins. They also got the original voice actor from the films, and he's effing and jeffing in the game as well. I don't know if you know, Chucky swears a
Oh,
lot.
excellent. Oh yeah.
So
It's an adult film. Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of
But
swearing.
I think I said on a Tangerine I've been watching all of the Friday the 13th movies, and recently I've watched the first 4 Nightmare on Elm Street films. I'm trying to get the deep lore before we watch Freddy versus Jason.
You want to know the two sides, right?
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, Jason hates pranksters because there's always a prankster in a Friday the 13th movie, and he always murders the prankster. First, right? Well, he doesn't get killed first, but they do get killed eventually.
Wait, who gets killed first? Is there a trend?
Usually the person at the start of the film is usually you'll get like a hitchhiker who's like, "Oh, I can't wait to go to Camp Crystal Lake," and then Jason will come like, "Donk," and murder them.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in the first film, he doesn't. Spoilers.
Well, yeah. That's super spoilers.
What was I saying? But then Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy is the ultimate prankster. He kills you in the use your worst fears against you.
Yeah, and he's just having fun.
So it's the ultimate matchup, Tony. The ultimate prankster versus the ultimate anti-prankster. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a masterpiece.
Let's hope they deal with the franchises correctly. Yeah, they would never screw that up, right?
Oh, Tony, The Last of Us 2 is getting a remaster on PS5. I like how basically everyone was like, "Oh, Naughty Dog keeps remastering the Last of Us games," like because they remastered it from the PS3 to the PS4, and then they remastered it from the PS4 to the PS5, and then they remastered it to the PC, and then the Last of Us 2 came out, and they were like, "Oh, it looks really good. We don't need to remaster this," and they're like, "Nope. We're remastering it for the PS5 anyway." And I'm gonna guess they're gonna remaster it for the PC as well. So.
Yeah, maybe it's just an all for one to get the newer technology working.
Well, I think the HBO show this year was insanely popular.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see. But as well as adding new visuals to the PS5 version, there's going to be like a roguelite mode as well, is something they're adding.
Okay.
And it's going to be like a $10 upgrade for PS4 owners of the game.
Oh, interesting. So you already own it?
Yeah. They're doing like an upgrade system. So it's like...
Yeah, I like that.
So you're paying like $10 for... I think there's 3 Lost levels, they're called, which are like extended versions. Oh, you can free play the guitar. Here's another feature.
Oh, thank God.
But you get the upgrades and you get like a roguelike survival mode is probably one of the biggest things they're adding. Joe's Weird VR... Oh, gone.
Well, I was going to say, is this because they don't want to work on a new game, that they're scared to do a new IP? What's going on?
I don't know. Well,
they keep going back to
the Last of Us 1 on PC is still not completely fixed. I mean, they did optimize it to work better with VRAM, but I think it still like needs optimization for GPU and CPU.
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of games that had VRAM issues, they've gone back and fixed the VRAM, but then there's still like the other problems still persist. So I guess we don't need the 10 gigabytes anymore. No, not until they fix it. No.
Then we have Joe's Weird VR Game of the Week, Tony, Amnesia VR. That's right. We have a port of the entirety of Amnesia into VR, hand track VR. So
interesting.
I remember loading.
Interesting.
I remember loading up this game like, oh god, probably like fucking 15 years ago or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I just couldn't get past the title screen for the longest time. I'm like, no, I'm too scared. I can't go past the title screen.
I didn't. Lots of people said that it was a very spooky title screen. I didn't quite understand that, but
I don't know. I feel like if I went back and played this now,
guy, so I don't.
Well, I used to be very anti-horror, but now I'm very pro-horror, so it'll be interesting to go back and look at this one again and see if it's still as spooky as I remember it being.
Very old, very limited polygons and textures, but it is old game.
Yeah, always cool to see
interesting.
VR ports of older games because it's a good way to get.
I don't know if it'll hold up in the same way as like other stuff that's been ported to VR though. I don't know. Curious to know how that would work.
Difference from the original game, safe mode. Similar to the similar modes in other frictional games, monsters in the castle are absent and events related to their appearance are cut. The lantern does not consume oil when in use, suitable for impressionable players who want to experience the atmosphere and the story without harming their psyche. So it'd be a horror game without the horror.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. But there's still going to be like the creepiness and like the story going on, I suppose, and like the castle changing.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting.
Well, it's got an itch.io page and ModDB if you want to check that out. If you've got a VR device like myself. Then we move on to announcements. Not announcements, sorry. Releases. No, we're too early for releases. I put these. We'll do releases first. Releases. Okay. The Invincible, 6th of November. This is like a sci-fi walking sim in like, I think it's a Polish, like Soviet space thing. It looks pretty interesting.
Okay.
But from what I've heard, I think Danny O'Dwyer was talking about it on the No Clip podcast that I was watching. But he was basically saying it's very much a walking sim. There's no like sprint button or anything. Recommend with 3 caveats. The Invincible must be played slowly. It is a much better fit for people 30 to 40 willing to relive the original story.
What?
Okay. It's a much better game for past 30 or 40. Do we need age? I'll put age restrictions for games. Like, oh, you're not 70 years old. You can't play this game. What a dumb fucking age.
I think that's just like, Zoomers, they have to have things fast. I think that's such a dumb stereotype. Can we stop perpetrating?
Well, I think there's younger people who can play slower games, and there's older people who can't play slower games.
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
Tying that to age is dumb.
There's an ageist stereotype in this. It's awful.
But yeah, it seems like people have enjoyed it from what I've seen. If you're into like very slow-paced walking simulators in space, it could be a game to check out. But yeah, what's the next one? Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name came out. So this is...
What a name.
From what I've heard, it is a shorter game, and it's like a side game. It is featuring the Kiryu, who is not the main protagonist of Yakuza series. Let me have a look, because I've never played any of the games. Because I think there's a couple of characters, right?
I know of a couple of characters. Are those actually like, canonically be the main characters?
Is he one of the main ones?
Yeah, I don't know much about the games, but they always looked interesting. So at some point,
I don't know. Basically, why
but...
this one is so interesting because they keep fucking churning these games out. I swear to God, like
it's pretty quick.
Because didn't they just do like was it Lost Detective?
That was a year ago, wasn't it? Like
Judgment or whatever. And then there's this one, which is a shorter one, which was I think almost supposed to be a DLC for the turn-based one, but this one's going back to being beat 'em up. So this one's a beat 'em up again.
Oh, okay.
Like the original games. And then we're getting Infinite Wealth, which is the one set in is it Los Angeles or somewhere in the US? Which is going to have like Animal Crossing stuff as well in it, like slice of life kind of stuff in it as well. From what I've seen of this one, it's like there's weird story shit. Then you go and you beat up a bunch of dudes with like literal gadgets. Like you put out like a spy watch and shoot webs at people and summon a bunch of robots and shit. And then you go to like a hostess bar and you're like romancing like fucking... There's an actual like Japanese Yakuza Twitch streamer in this game that won a competition and you can try and romance them. It's like, this game looks fucking nuts. I'm like, yeah, I'm down for it, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And I have most of the Yakuza games. I've never played one. I was thinking about like maybe just starting with Yakuza 0 because I don't think that wasn't the first one made, but it was like a prequel.
They re-edited it back to the beginning.
But yeah, I'm interested in the Yakuza games, and this one, or Like a Dragon games, now that they changed their name. This one is, I think, I've heard it's
Can we call them
easier to get
Lad?
into. Sorry?
Can we call it Lad, Like a Dragon?
Lad? Oh, Lad. That's a great, yeah, we should call it
Lad.
Lad from now on. Lads. Come on,
Yeah,
lads.
it's not very Japanese, but it's...
Lad, the man who erased his name.
I think it kind of
Kazumi
it works better than having to say
Kiryu.
Like a Dragon.
But apparently this one's, if you haven't played them, apparently this one's a good one to get into because it's shorter. It doesn't feature like a massive lore dump like a lot of the games, and it's also, I think, on PC Games Pass. So you could just jump into it straight away if you had Games Pass.
Just jump right in and try it, yeah.
I'm trying to find a review, but it's all memes.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay.
This new guy, Joryu guy, seems fun. I'm getting tired of Kiryu. So it's set before the events of his next game where he's Kiryu, and they were like, oh, let's have him go undercover. But so he calls himself Jiryu,
Right.
for the entire game, and I think he dresses slightly differently, and yeah. So let's check out the next one. Risk of Rain Returns came out on the 8th of November. So this is Hoppo Games. This is their last Risk of Rain game, I guess, or they basically sold the entire like Risk of Rain 2 and all of the IP to Gearbox, but they were like, hey, we really just want to remaster the original Risk of Rain and get it up to snuff, and apparently it's really good. I never liked the original Risk of Rain, personally, but I played Risk of Rain 2 and loved it. But apparently...
So what did they fix? Or they just make it so more fun to play? Or I don't... What could they change? Like, I can't quite imagine...
I don't know exactly what they changed. I just heard that people said that they've made it a lot better.
Okay.
This game is very faithful to the original in a lot of ways, still feeling like you are getting brokenly overpowered at times, which is awesome. It also has a lot of unfair pitfalls on stiffness, which has never bothered me much in medium difficulty, but the good news is the remaster ships with settings to make the game as easy as you want, and Hoppo made the right decision here, making it accessible to all. But yeah. Seems pretty fun. Seems pretty cool. How much is it? Let's have a look. £12. So, and you can get it cheap. So it's not crazy expensive. And yeah, it seems like they did a good job on remastering one of the original OG roguelike games. So
I got quite a few number of reviews as well. Like I feel like
10,000 reviews.
Well. Yeah, that must have sold quite well. Okay, that's cool.
Loddlenaut came out. This is one of my favorite games from the Steam Next Fest. It is like a cozy power wash simulator sort of game. Basically, you go around and you're cleaning up the ocean.
Visceral cleanup power wash simulator.
It's a very lovely game and I enjoyed it, but it's kind of sad that after 5 hours I reached the end already. It would be very nice if there was more content in the future. So I think I played for a couple of hours in the demo. Even so, it potential like to be quite a short game. Then I mean, it came out the 16th of November. It's not an early access, so this is the full game. I wonder if they've said they're going to add more content. Let's have a look. Apparently, they're going to donate 0.05 Great British pounds per sale Lollnaut to the Whale and Dolphin Conservation Charity. This pledge covers all net game sales over the next 3 years. That's pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But I found this game really charming when I played the demo. I thought it was like a nice little relaxing game.
Is that say gamers versus polluters?
Yeah. You know what? We're coming for you, polluters. You better watch out. Gamers rise
Interesting.
up.
I
Next up,
think a
we
lot of
have
gamers are polluters.
16th of November, Stellaris Astral Planes. Tony, this says mostly
Yes.
negative reviews. What's going on here?
Yes. Um, Basically overpriced. I'll briefly explain what I understand it. I have not picked up. I have read the dev diaries for it. Worth noting, was not made by the main dev team. It was like made by a completely different dev team with
Right.
like correspondence, which is interesting in and of itself. Um, in the base, or sorry, in one of the other DLCs, there's thing they added archaeology projects. This is basically a mid-game archaeology system with like parallel rifts that spawn, and then as they then becomes the mid-game, you then get decisions around them, and you can do stuff. A lot of the reviews seem to be about it being not. There's only like I think there's only like 30 of them in total, and only like a couple of them, or maybe like five or something, can spawn in a galaxy at once.
So
It's just that there's not that many outcomes and not much content for like I think £15.75 off sale,
yeah.
which just seems and the previous content was like £8.50 off sale, so it's like almost double the price. And
Uh,
there were much more archaeology projects in the previous DLC.
I'm just looking at the developers. The developers made Rogue book. One of
Oh, is those okay?
yeah, they made like a pretty good Slay the Spire style like roguelike deck builder.
Yeah, it's I don't really know why. One, I don't know why it's so expensive, and two, I don't know why. I mean, maybe they just asked, like, did they want to do it or something? I don't know how that came to be. But it's meant to be like a more story-driven archaeology stuff, but which I'm okay with. But my biggest problem with Ven's archaeology projects, and I guess now Rifts, is like I want to have them be more mechanically impactful with more mechanical decisions like it's like the text and the stuff like adds its own flavor and story to the galaxy, sure, but it'd be like would it not be even more story driven if it's like connected mechanically? So I've always wanted more mechanical stuff and more bigger decisions that like actually influence than the rest of the game. That's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
So uh,
You're not
I mean, it
picking this
comes at
one
the
up?
same. Not for that price, no, definitely not. There's other species packs I want to
Alright,
get, but I
Tony.
still haven't got Toxoids.
My sleeper game of the year, Bluey the video game, came out on the 17th
Louis.
of November. And let's just say it's got mostly positive reviews from the 103 parents who've bought this game for their kid.
Yeah, Bluey. I don't know. I don't know what Bluey is. I'm gonna be
So
honest
I
with you.
have a niece who is about to turn 1, and I have watched more Bluey than I think I have ever watched a children's show in my life because
Really?
kids love
Okay.
Bluey, and it is also incredibly entertaining for adults. It is one of the best kids shows out there.
Are you gonna get it for your Steam Deck then?
Oh, Steam Deck gaming, yeah. I mean, my niece
Wait,
is a
how much
bit
is
too
it?
young to understand what the hell's even going on right
It's a bit
now.
expensive as well, isn't it? How long is this game?
£34.99. This game requires a controller in order to play. Mouse and keyboard is not supported.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, have you seen this new controller thing they're doing with the controller support and stuff?
I've not seen that how it looks yet. How does it?
Well, just say, oh, it supports your controller or controllers required, or under like the compatibility tab, it'll be like, oh, it supports DualSense or it supports Xbox controllers or.
Oh, okay, because obviously you plugged it in. It's like picked up your controller in the controller section. Okay, interesting.
Honestly, for $40, I'm incredibly disappointed. I was excited to finally have a video game based on something my son loves. My son loves to watch me game, but I haven't been able to get a game that is actually something he's interested in. For start, the graphics are pretty bad. The matchup between the typical Blue animation style and 3D being used on only some elements is odd. As you can see from our time playing, we played 0.2 hours. In that time, we finished episode 1 of 4 episodes. The promise of playing games with the healer family seem fun, but the mini games are just not fleshed out enough. The lack of in-game settings is highly disappointing too. I plan on streaming the game from my PC to my TV, which would require me to adjust the resolution. Not only does the game not support in-game resolution adjustments, VSync or other common graphic options are not accessibility options. I understand the game is for children that primarily do not read yet, but the decision to omit turning on captioning just seems like a massive miss. UI elements are also not adjustable, which leaves some UI elements appearing small and out of focus at certain gameplay resolutions.
Interesting.
So it seems like people are mostly positive about it, but there is some issues with it. Maybe they're being more lenient on it because it's a children game, yeah.
Yeah, people do that, unfortunately, which I don't agree with.
I'm not a target audience for this game. I'm a single adult in my 20s, so my performance perspective is different than those who this game is for. I've 100% this game with all the collectible stickers and Steam achievement. This took roughly 3 hours of playtime, so it's fair to say the game doesn't offer a lot of content. With that said, I personally feel that this game is a great time waster for any Bluey fan. It is worth $40? No, absolutely not. If it was $15 to $20, maybe that would be a good buy. But I'd say for most people, if you can live without it until it goes on sale, do that. Well, I cannot. I cannot live without this game until it goes on to sale. I'm just kidding.
It's a day one buy.
Yeah. And then November 17th, Super Mario RPG has just come out. So, Tony, do you know anything about Super Mario RPG?
No, I don't know anything about it.
I don't know super much about it until I saw like the Digital Foundry. John did a video on it, and
Okay.
Super Mario RPG is actually, I think, one of the few, maybe the only collaboration between Nintendo and Square Enix, or Square Soft as they were called at the time. So it's like it's a Squeenix style RPG with Mario characters.
Just like rabbits.
It's not XCOM, no. It's
like similar crossover, I suppose.
It's like turn-based JRPG with button mashing prompts for extra damage, or timed button hits sort of thing.
Okay.
So you can like time jump attacks, you can time like blocks, and it looks really good. I might check this out because
that seems interesting.
I've played like
this remaster looks great.
I've played like 5 Mario games this year. What's another Mario game to play? You know, I mean, it genuinely looks very. I think it looks great and it looks pretty interesting. Okay. So I might actually check this one out.
I just thought that maybe that the combat style wouldn't be what you were looking for, but
I've never played a Squeenix JRPG. What a better place to start than a remaster of a 20-year-old game on Nintendo Switch.
It does have a lot of effort into the remaster, to be honest, though.
I don't know. I feel like I would be more engaged because it has those like timed events. Otherwise, if it was
it adds more interest to it for sure.
Otherwise, if I was just watching and pressing buttons, I'd be like, I don't know. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I might pick this one up. But yeah, those are the releases for this year. Well, the releases for this week. God, there's still releases coming this year, right?
There's still time.
Wait, how many is there any games left for this year? I mean, we're almost in
December. There's a couple in December, I thought, but I can't remember what these are now.
2023 game releases. What else have we got coming up?
Oh, they've been pushed back. Actually, sorry, they're meant to be, and then they've been pushed back.
Let's have a look. I'm just going to go to a random website and see if there's any left, because we just had what was it? We had just had RoboCop. Usually, like, the end of the year is quite busy because everyone's trying to get in before the end of the year to get into the holiday season. We just had the Walking Dead Destinies. I don't know if did you see that one?
No, I've not seen anything about it.
Apparently, it's like one of the worst.
Is Avatar still coming out at the end of the
year? So from what I'm looking at, we're gonna get SteamWorld Builds coming out December 1st.
Yeah.
Arizona Sunshine 2, Avatar's Frontier of Pandora, House Flipper 2, Warhammer 40k, Rogue Trader. Angerfoot is supposed to launch this year, but we don't have a release date for it yet.
Yeah.
So these are potential to be delayed.
And I think there were a couple of other games, but they were pushed back to 2024 now. So
Yeah, so there's not like a
not
crazy
much,
amount
no.
of game. Like we've just had the Game Award announcements for voting. Starfield is not on the list for Game of the Year, Tony. Would you believe that? Everyone thought it was a
Well
shoo-in
deserved. No,
for Game of the Year, but no, like
absolutely not.
before it was released, everyone was like, okay,
Yeah,
Starfield is going to be on the ballot for Game of
yeah,
the Year, but it's just
yeah.
everyone's kind of just gone, oh,
But no one reviewed it highly, so
there's just too many. It's okay. Some people,
very
I
good.
feel so mixed about 2023, right? Because there's been so many awful games coming out this year, and there's been so many good games coming out this year.
Yeah, yeah. But I
like,
think we're finally back to lots of games coming out, which is really good. Like I felt we've recovered from the pandemic. I thought we're finally
yeah,
back to because there always used to be lots of bad games. Like I just feel like we're now back to like when there's lots of bad games, there must be lots of good games. Like if it was only bad games, I think we'd know something's gone horribly wrong. And basically, what was in the past was like there'd be like a couple of bad games, and then the rest were live services. I'm like, well, those are also bad games. So I feel like we've dropped the live service bullshit for the most part. And I feel like it's a much better. We're much better for it.
yeah. We got cancellations. Samurai Punk is ceasing development. The dev of Scream Cheat, Roombo, First Blood, Kill Bug, The American Dream, with American VR game, is ceasing development. So that's sad to see a dev go with some cool games under their belt.
Yeah.
Delays. Mod support and map asset editors for City Skylines 2, along with the free content packs for international buildings, have been delayed several months. Patches are also going to be released less often after this week. I asked you about this. You said that you had something to say here.
From what reading through this, it sounds like so they've been doing patches every week. So they're trying it looked like they're just trying to solve like the low hanging fruit patches.
Right.
So now they were saying like now like they're going to now focus on some of the graphical and LOD issues, which apparently is going to take longer than a week to implement. But and also they're saying that like they need to get the content creator like an importing and sharing feature ready for console launch, which is like this is why they're pushing it back. But then that all of this though just reinforces that they shouldn't have released it in 2023. It should have been released in 2024. They should. It's in an unreleasable state. Like it's playable technically. If it was early access right now and I could play it, like fine. Like these bugs are acceptable. Like, they're going to be fixed for release. But like, yeah, it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have gone out in the state it was. That's crazy.
Well, how do you feel as someone who got the game? Do you feel like you should have just waited until they fix these bugs?
Yeah, I think they should have. I'm okay having it. Like I'm glad I can play it to some extent, but it's not. It should have been released. It should have waited.
So you're glad you can play it now, but you also think they shouldn't have released it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
correct.
ideas kind of collide with each other.
Well, now I don't want to be taken away, but but if I didn't have it before, I wouldn't have been missing out because I just have to wait. But they're the ones that set up the expectation that it was releasing in October, so it's like they should have just said releasing it maybe October, and then in the early access they're going, oh okay, because they had for September and early October they gave it to content creators, right? I just feel like they should have got the feedback and went, oh, the performance isn't where we want it to be, let's push back the release. I think that would have been a much better move. And then they could have then slowly been making new videos as patches were released. I think that made way more sense.
Okay. Oh, speaking of old MMOs that are hitting crazy resurgences, Old School RuneScape just hit a new concurrent player count. They just hit 190,000 people playing the game. So they've just released a new league for Old School RuneScape, which leagues are sort of like seasonal variants of Old School RuneScape about completing various tasks in time-limited servers. So basically, you get additional rules where which areas you can go to, how you can trade. You get boosted XP. So you have a brand new character just in that server, but you basically get these crazy runes that let you do really wild stuff that you wouldn't be able to do in base RuneScape. And then you basically, when you go back to your normal RuneScape character, it doesn't affect that. So it's just like experimenting in these weird servers, and then when you unlock stuff, you can unlock cosmetics for your main like normal server RuneScape character stuff. So it makes it kind of interesting. Just be like, hey, let's fuck around on these servers. And I know some of my friends have been having fun playing this, so that's pretty cool to see. Let's move on.
Insane to play RuneScape, but at least they're having fun.
Then we have mod news. CG Projekt Red have announced that they are working on a mod editor for The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. So we've had like they just released the mod editor for Cyberpunk not that long ago, or like the Red Engine. I think they've had like the Red Engine like for the original Witcher 3 remaster, right?
Yeah.
But now that they've put the remaster in, they're making like an official mod editor to help modders create even more stuff for it. And it's coming to PC only as well, not console.
Yeah. It really is a shame they're stepping away from the Red Engine. Like, I just feel like they've gone to a really good state, but I just feel like, I know the industry, it's easier to hire people, but I'm just wondering, like, maybe you just have like a better training
Nothing utilizes CPUs like Cyberpunk. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we also have Dark Forces 2 has got a community mod of extreme definition texture packs. They've gone back and added like 4K textures to all the original Dark Forces 2 textures.
Oh my god, before and after is huge. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely massive.
Oh my god.
Looks really, really cool. So maybe I'll install that if I play Dark Forces 2. Still waiting for the Night Dive port of the first one after playing like quite a bit of it on the Dark Project engine for the original Dark Forces. Really good. Excited to see what Night Dive is doing as well. I've heard some fans are like mixed on their remastering of the cutscenes of the like original LucasArts like pixel art sort of stuff.
Oh really? Okay.
I think it looks cool, but
it entirely. Okay. I don't think it's in keeping with what they remember or what they expect.
So let's move on to Steam Deck news. We've got some very big Steam Deck news.
Oh, out of nowhere
this week. The Steam Deck OLED has been. I was on YouTube and I just saw a Tested video with Norm from Tested. He was like, Norm. Steam Deck OLED. And I was like, oh, someone's made a brand new community mod that basically lets you add an OLED screen to your Steam Deck, like the Deck HD, right? I was like, okay, let's watch this. And he's like, the official Steam Deck OLED. I was like, wait a minute. And I went on the Steam Deck page. I was like, wait a minute. They have announced the actual Steam Deck OLED. That's crazy.
Out of nowhere.
Because you've been saying for the longest time, you've been like, oh, I kind of really want to get one of the refurbished Steam Decks. Or
so I like so I can upgrade the screen and not.
Because you've been interested in getting one, and I've been like, you should get one. It's really good. But now the Steam Deck OLED is even better.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea with this was there was a lot of like minor improvements they could make to the Steam Deck, but it wasn't enough of a performance bump in a new APU in order to get like a new generational improvement in graphics. So what they did is they took the original 7nm APU of the Steam Deck and shrunk it down to 6nm to improve the power consumption. Then they replaced the screen with an OLED screen, which is 0.4 inches bigger, has HDR support, which makes way more sense what they've been doing with Steam Deck OS, SteamOS 3.5, because they kept doing HDR support for Steam Deck 3.5, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense if you dock it into a HDR TV, but the Steam Deck doesn't have a HDR screen. Why are they doing all this work to add HDR to Linux? They have a HDR OLED screen with smaller bezels because it is their bigger screen. And not only that, it's no longer 60 hertz, it's also 90 hertz, which is actually kind of a game changer. I feel like not enough people are talking about the 90 hertz improvement.
Yeah, I see people like using 90 hertz. And you're getting more, I know you're gonna come to that, they're getting like more battery life with 90 hertz versus 60 hertz.
Well, the OLED screen it uses less energy than the LCD screen.
Yeah, which is mad to me.
And then on top of that, there's a smaller, more power efficient CPU which uses less battery. And then because of the space they have, they've been able to put in a bigger battery, of a 50 watt hour battery instead of 40 watt hour now. So you're actually
they've changed
getting
the fan out slightly as well.
You're getting like it's a 25% bigger battery with an estimated net gain of 30 to 50% battery life gain, which is kind of nuts. The memory is faster because they've replaced it. I think it was like 5,000 hertz memory. It's now 6,000 hertz memory, somewhere around there. And there's a brand new Wi-Fi 6E chip, which they've been advertising as 3 times faster download rate. And it's like, well, yeah, it is if you have like a Wi-Fi 6E router and like gigabit internet or whatever, right?
They have Bluetooth 5.3 or 2, like didn't they?
5.3 module with a dedicated
5.3,
antenna.
that's really good.
One thing they've been working on for SteamOS 3.5 was better Bluetooth connectivity. So they wanted better connection and more controllers connected, which is very useful for me, who's constantly docking my controller with like 4 different Bluetooth controllers.
Yeah,
it would be even better if I had a Bluetooth 5.3 upgrade. But I'll just say now, I'm not getting a Steam Deck OLED, even though I would love one. But I cannot justify dropping another £500 on a Steam Deck. Then we have, it's got a bigger, quieter fan, so more battery life, runs faster.
I've seen people compare
cooler,
it to the Ally.
lighter.
It's still louder than the Ally, but
the polling rate of the touchscreen's been increased to 180 hertz. Supports wake via Bluetooth with a controller. So if you're somebody who keeps yours docked constantly, like mine, you can just grab your controller from wherever you're storing it and just quickly turn it on by turning the controller on. It also has improved higher fidelity haptics, new trackpad for improved fidelity and edge detection, louder speakers, more bass. I've listened to the speakers in a lot of videos; they sound a lot better. Improved thumbsticks,
it sounds less rattly.
Improved thumbsticks, but not Hall effect. And Valve were asked why they didn't go with Hall effect, and they said basically they still prefer the reliability of the non-Hall effect controllers they've been using.
Yes, that's interesting. Maybe it's just like what they used to, but
they claim that it's the same power target and there shouldn't be that much performance difference. But you can see anywhere from 2 to 8%. Yeah, it's never worse, but you can see a 2 to 8% performance improvement thanks to running cooler, running higher clocks. The die shrunk, bigger fan, more battery life.
Yeah. There's less power needed for the same performance from the nanometer shrink.
And a big thing as well is massive improvements to self-repair. Better screws, placement on the back. Screen.
They're all the same now.
The screen can be removed without taking it out of the case, which is huge.
Yeah,
the battery is still glued down, but they said they didn't go hog wild with the glue this time.
Isn't that a direct quote? Like they said they didn't go hog wild this time.
But man, I think basically Valve is like, we made a couple of improvements, but they just undersold the mammoth of a mid-generation refresh that this is,
It's a pretty huge refresh.
Because like you think about...
And the same price.
The same price as well. And they've taken
they get more storage.
The biggest model, which was... They saw so many people would buy the 64 and put a 1 terabyte in, and they were like, well, if people want a 1 terabyte Steam Deck, we'll just sell a 1 terabyte Steam Deck. We can give you 1 terabyte of storage at a competitive price, which I think it is a pretty competitive price.
Compared to like everything else, like the cheapest Ally is like £600, right?
There's a new carrying case with a removable liner in the top model as well. If you want to take it out and have an even smaller case for the Steam Deck, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard it's not as protective as some other like third-party small or slim cases, but it's like better than not having it, I suppose.
So basically, they're going to discontinue the 64 gigabyte LCD, which is going now while stocks last for £300, which is an absolute fucking crazy deal.
Yeah,
£300 for one of the best handhelds on the market right now is absolutely insane.
Just get SSD.
The old 512 model LCD is £384, but I feel like if you wanted to get the old LCD model, you might as well get the one with the SSD. You might as well either go for the 349 or get the 64 and open it up and put a SSD in it. I mean, For me, I would say just the
Yeah.
OLED one is the better one to get. But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
sure there's people on a budget. This is going to be like,
it's good
good
that
for
they've
you.
done that because like they could have just like left it and
I,
said
I
no, we
will
just go
say
with it.
I don't think 64 gigabytes is enough for most people. I think
No, no, no.
you're either going to need a micro
You're
SD card, which I got a terabyte micro SD card for mine, and I have the 512, which is the old top tier model. But also we got the brand new limited edition translucent Steam Deck, and I kept saying to you, Tony, I was talking
Yep.
about the third party custom case, and I was like, I love the atomic purple, which if you don't know is the name for the Game Boy that is like a see-through purple clear case.
Yes.
And I was like, this is
Yeah,
so cool.
the
I
classic.
love the clear case stuff. And I think
Yeah.
this looks so sick, and it's also US and Canada only. So even if I was gonna get one, I couldn't get one anyway, which is a shame. But I think they should do way more colorways for the Steam Deck and make like a bunch more colors.
They did say if this got more a lot of interest, they might consider like looking into other types of cases or other types of I guess cases.
I would say to you, Tony, what do you think of this news? Are you because you've been interested in getting a Steam Deck? What are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking I need to get the OLED because the only thing that I'd want to change is Hall effect sticks. But man, it's that. And if it's easier to get to the screen and replace stuff as well, like it just seems. It just like a no-brainer, especially for the same price.
I mean,
so I've
owned a Steam Deck for 9 months now, and I got to say it is a very good product. I mean, it depends how you're going to use it and how you want to use it, but for me personally, I've been using it as a docked party device where I have the dock and I bring it around and I plug it in, and people can play bunch of party games from my Steam library. And what was it like? I was playing beer pong, and my friends in the other room were playing Team Sonic Racing in the other room. So,
well, didn't they ask for you to bring the Steam Deck the last time, right?
Yeah, my friend asked me to bring it, so they're not.
Yeah, so
at least some people are not getting bored of me, plugging it in and going, "Oh, I swear this worked at home," and troubleshooting it for like 10. As much as I love the Steam Deck, there's always the shy boy. What's it called when you basically it only doesn't work at certain points.
It's the opposite of the mechanic problem, right? Yeah.
Basically, I set things up and I test it and it works perfectly, and then I plug it into somebody else's TV and it's like, oh, I'm going to break now. And it's just like, okay. But usually I can get it working within 5-10 minutes or something. I feel like troubleshoot quickly.
They are trying to fix some of these inconsistency problems, but it's just going to be, it's just slow,
Yeah, but one of my biggest issues was the Bluetooth thing, and if you have a stronger Bluetooth chip and they've improved Bluetooth connectivity with multiple controllers, that's going to be huge for me. Because I've just updated to 3.5 on my personal LCD Steam Deck. I've just tested it out, and I really like the new thing that lets you basically... They've combined the FPS slider and the refresh rate of your screen into one slider. So the way it works on the 60 hertz panel is if you set it to 30, you'll get half screen refresh rate. It'll be in a 60 hertz container, but it'll do double 30 basically. And then if you set it to 40, it'll set the screen to 40 hertz. Whereas on the Steam Deck OLED with the 90 hertz panel, you can basically, I want to run it at 30, it'll run it at 90 hertz and do triple screen refresh, right? Or you set it to you want to run it at 40 FPS, then it will go at 80 hertz, half.
Which makes sense. I think that's a much better way of doing it. Because they've got a panel off the shelf, they haven't got VR. Right? So I think this is
going back to the Steam Deck OLED. I think the only big omission, basically the community was like, the Steam Deck's fucking awesome, but I would love this. It was like, we want an OLED screen, we want more storage, we want a bit more battery life, and there's a couple of niggles like we want a better Bluetooth connectivity, we want a better Wi-Fi chip or whatever, right? And they basically were like, okay, we understand that, and they went back and they basically improved everything. And I think the biggest omission from this was, we want a VRR display. And I think that was the only thing that was amiss from this refresh.
But if they bought a screen off the shelf that didn't have it, then I think what they've implemented
Yes, the
is like a good
original
middle
Steam
ground.
Deck screen is basically a tablet screen, basically repurposed.
Yeah,
You can tell
yeah,
because it tries to orient portrait by itself, and basically they just rotated it in Linux, so it's a sideways display.
yeah. Pretty common with a lot of
I don't know,
older
because I watched a lot
handhelds.
of videos on this. Linus seems to think that from Linus Tech Tips that not Linus Torvald, the creator of Linux,
No, different lines.
seems to think that they pretty much are using the same screen as the Steam Deck OLED, and it
I
seems
want
to
to say I
be
think they're
like,
using the same screen technology. It's definitely not the same screen. They're different sizes.
I know, I think they're both 7.4 inches.
Yeah, I've seen like to directly compare them. The Steam Deck OLED is slightly bigger in terms like from
Is
like
it just the
actual
bezels though?
usable size. Yeah, but that still means the pixels are different.
I don't know about that.
So the OLED on the Switch, the bezels are bigger. So I don't know how
Right.
they've managed that, but either way, it's probably the same technology, cut
Yeah.
slightly differently. Like so, probably like a
But
refreshed version
if they're
of
using
the
like a
Switch,
very
basically.
similar screen, it could be
Yeah,
possible that the Switch has
it's the
a
same pixels though.
panel could potentially have support for HDR, and Nintendo were just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
nah, we can't. We're not going to use that.
I
Or
will.
they,
I will say like they were someone compared like
but
they were emulating Mario games and like
yeah.
and Zelda games and like identical screen look from like or HDR look
Well, I
basically.
think it's very positive if it is a similar screen because the
Yeah,
Switch. I have a Switch OLED that I've been using, and it is a fucking good screen. It is really good. It has great brightness, and
yeah.
we've just seen a video. I don't know if I talked about this. There was Wolfden did a video where he basically ran his Steam Deck OLED for an entire year to see what the burn-in would be like, and he basically
Oh
stress
yeah.
tested it for like 2 years of constant use.
What was he doing to stress it? Was he just like constantly running like the same thing
He
on it
just had an image, I
continuously?
think, of The Legend of Zelda on it constantly to make sure it didn't go to sleep. And he ran
Right.
it to see if there was any burn-in, and there was like slight burn-in after the worst stress test possible on
Yeah,
it.
you would never play it like that.
And it was just
That's
like,
really impressive.
yeah. Because I think some people specifically asked Steam, because Steam got interviewed a bunch after this came out, and people were,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest, the biggest question was, when is Steam OS coming to other handhelds?
yeah,
And their
yeah.
response was soon TM, but they've been saying
Which we're
soon
working on
TM
this
for the longest
first.
time.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, because people really want to try SteamOS on like the Argiello,
Yeah, but
the Lenovo
it's like
Legion Go.
exponentially more complicated to get working on like any device compared to just
People
one
want
device.
to run SteamOS on their PCs, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like a Linux box, sure.
But we'll have to wait and see if Valve actually go through and finish that, because basically they said the team that the people that would have made SteamOS run on these other handhelds were the people that were working on getting the Steam Deck OLED up and running. So
Yeah,
that was
makes
what they were
sense.
choosing between. But now they've got some time potentially. I don't know. Valve is an enigma. You never know what this came out of nowhere, other than that Korea rating for a. I honestly, when I read that, I said, I was like, okay, they're going to add a new Wi-Fi. They're going to stealth add a new Wi-Fi chip to the original LCD Steam Deck. That's what it's going to, because
That
they've done a
yeah,
couple of revisions
that
to the
was a good
LCD
bet.
over its
Yeah,
life cycle. But man,
yeah,
yeah,
that would
I
have been a
remember
good
seeing it.
bet.
I was so shocked. I did not see this coming. I really
No,
thought that they were just gonna, because it's
like
classic
wait a
Valve to
few
just be
years.
like, drop something and then just go off and do something else.
Yeah,
But it seems like they're really passionate about the Steam Decks, which is
it.
cool to see.
I think this is. I'm hoping that they do decide to go and like do like more Linux for any more than just their handheld, because I think that was like their original intent before doing the handheld. So like I feel like now they have a successful platform, like that makes it easier to
So
then do
going
that.
back to 3.5 for the LCD Steam Deck, there is some really cool stuff if you are an LCD Steam Deck holder. So there is color vibrancy, so you can make your Steam Deck look warmer or colder on your non-HDR display.
Yeah, You can like change it per game, right?
Again, there is HDR support and VRR support for external displays. So, like me, who has it docked to a HDR television a lot, I can use HDR through an external display, which is cool. And there's VRR support. And they have fixed the SMT bug, which is huge for emulation because this has been breaking. You basically, if you wanted to run stuff like Switch games on your Steam Deck, you had to go and download a third-party tool called Power Tools and disable SMT because it was basically breaking emulation. And there was a couple of
reboot.
No, you can do Power Tool. It's Linux. You can do everything on the fly.
Oh yeah, I was just making sure.
Like you can literally like pin your GPU, change it. Like
oh, nice.
Having a Steam Deck for 9 months goes, man, Linux is really fucking cool when you compare it to Windows in a lot of ways.
Just some smaller things need to fix.
Yeah, but the smart memory threading, they've basically fixed that, so it will run. There's a couple of Steam games that specifically had CPU problems because of SMT, and that's been fixed, which is cool to see. So you're getting better performance. It's the Linux Mesa update, which basically adds better support for games like Starfield, Amnesia: The Bunker, and some other games. But the big thing with the Mesa update, which they didn't mention here, is the Mesa update actually did a shader cache improvement where they have made shader cache sizes up to 60% smaller depending on the game. So some games could have like really massive shader caches that are made through the driver. So that's really cool to see that those have been reduced.
Aren't Valve doing a thing where they're like pre-caching
through the
on their, like, their
DX,
servers
the Vulkan layer and stuff like that?
Well, no, I thought they were like, because like the Steam Deck is on a common platform, they just like crunch it on their own servers, then like it's then ready for everyone. So like you just download like a pre-calculated one.
Yeah, so there should be less stutter with those when there is no cache already as well, with the new Mesa update as well. And for me, I think the Bluetooth connectivity, if it does work, is massive. I think having more reliable Bluetooth is going to be really cool.
It's really hard to get rid of
so apparently there is slightly improved sleep resume speed. So when you put the Steam Deck to sleep and turn it back on, as someone who used it before this point, it's never been slow. And then
question about
after this, it still seems exactly the same.
I watched someone like this is like the only person I saw with this problem, but they said like they'd press like the resume button. I guess the on-off button like to resume. It's like they're like before the screen even woke up, like they accidentally would press it again because they didn't know if it was waking up. And it's like I've never heard anyone else have this problem. Like, doesn't it just immediately start waking up?
Yeah, that's been the experience for me.
Interesting. Just the one guy that has the problem then.
Oh, they also added voltage offset settings. So Tony, through SteamOS, you can
undervolting.
You can undervolt through SteamOS, yeah.
Nice.
Which is fucking massive.
That's really cool.
So
did they improve because they also like in this update the baseline of the Arch Linux has been updated, which has improved the desktop mode.
Yeah, they've updated the Arch Linux base as well. System. So it pulls in newer performance, security, and stability fixes, recent changes to KDE Plasma, Steam Deck's desktop mode has been improved. There's a new window tiling system, updated the Discover app software manager with a new homepage and improved search. Discover can now perform system updates from the desktop and updated the desktop widgets as well, which is pretty cool to see. I actually, for my app management, I use a Decky plugin that basically lets me update all of my apps from the App Store through game mode, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
So I would say if you are getting a Steam Deck OLED, check out Decky, and the best way to install Decky is actually just through installing EmuDeck, which is the emulation station for Steam Deck, basically.
What does it install it for you?
Yeah, you can install it through EmuDeck. Because one of the recommended steps is to install Power Tools, which is not needed because of the SMT bug specifically for SMT, but pinning your GPU to certain speeds to increase CPU throughput is still really useful for old, like I think Wii and Wii U titles. Pinning your GPU is actually quite good because it increases your CPU performance.
And download the package or something. Is that just
you can get it from GitHub.
Okay.
You can well, for EmuDeck specifically. I was talking about Decky.
All of it, I suppose. Because
EmuDeck, you go to a website that will take you to a download page. You don't need to run any like sudo commands. I don't think you don't need to set a sudo password. Yeah. I've installed a lot of stuff on my Steam Deck through the desktop, and I've spent very little time in a terminal ever.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think, to be honest, genuinely, I know like Linux people hate this, but I think more ease of life stuff like that is what Linux now needs. Because like as you point out,
there's a couple of like
advanced lots of stuff that's already stable.
There's a couple of advanced things that I've gone out of my way to do that have required me to use a terminal. But that's stuff like
that's fine. But
setting automatically syncing save files from emulators to Dropbox and stuff like where it requires me to do some advanced stuff.
Yeah. But then like Windows stuff needs that every now and again, so like it's no different.
Oh yeah, I had to go into the Windows terminal to set that up on the other end. So
yeah. I'm just saying, like I feel like Arch Linux, like I think looking at like the File Explorer's equivalent, I think Arch Linux is like the best Linux system in my opinion, and I think that's
Arch,
great
by the way.
chose it. SteamOS Arch, I think, is the OS of choice.
Well, currently the only way you can install SteamOS third parties, I think it's Bazite OS is like the community one that's been made.
There was last one. There's a couple of them, but that was I think that was the main one. They were in like various states for different targets and things. So yeah, it's a lot of finicky work, and I think like you still have to like implement it yourself for your own hardware. So, like, it's a lot of work.
We only have to wait for Valve to do something, and how long could that take? You know?
Yeah, but to be fair to Valve, what they're trying to implement, like a Windows ISO, is actually very complicated. Like,
and as well,
Apple doesn't have to do this because they just have their own hardware. It's only Windows that does this.
Shout out to fucking Valve for basically adding HDR support to Linux.
Yes,
that's insane.
Yes, that is huge. And VRR support technically as well.
And people were saying like, this is actually a really good use case of like a standardized HDR machine to be like, oh, let's just optimize HDR on this machine, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Because as
someone who wants Linux gaming to like keep going, I'm very excited for this. I think this is very good.
Then we have some more Steam. Okay, so obviously Valve was releasing the Steam Deck OLED. They wouldn't do like a crazy huge announcement at the same time. Half-Life 1 25th anniversary update. They've basically done like a full Night Dive level remaster of Half-Life 1, I would say, like sort of similar to that level, where they've basically, for the longest time, Half-Life 1 wasn't Steam Deck verified, so you couldn't actually play it like reliably on the Steam Deck. It was running in the Gold Source engine. There's two versions of Half-Life 1. There is Gold Source, which is the version I played when I did my playthrough of it last year.
But that's not the original.
No, Gold Source is the original. There's the Source engine version that is mired by the community and disliked because it has so many bugs in it.
Right.
And is considered to be the not the what's the opposite of superior? Inferior version of the game. There we go. Yeah. But basically, they've gone back and they have fixed a bunch of bugs. Got it. It's now Steam Deck verified. So they've added quality of life improvements. So you can get widescreen field of views. Play the game the way it looked in 1998, but on a modern monitor. Options to disable texture smoothing on the GL renderer. Lighting fixes, including the lost level GL overbright support. Software rendering on Linux, crisp colors, animated water, and unfiltered textures. A proper gamepad config out of the box. Added support for Steam networking. Invite your friends or join games instantly with no fuss. UI scaling support for higher resolutions. Restored content. They've added back the classic Valve logo with the iconic music and reskinned the menu to match the 1998 build. Ivan the Space Biker and Prototype Barney have been added as multiplayer skins, which is like nuts because Valve historically hates any like prototype or cut content. And yeah, they've added it to this. It's kind of crazy. Originally, there was a campaign called Half-Life Uplink, which is basically exclusive for magazines and hardware manufacturers. And this mini campaign was built by the Half-Life team right around the time the game went gold. And this was many people's first experience with Half-Life, we thought it was time to bundle it with the main game with no sound card purchase necessary. We've got four new multiplayer maps. So built by Valve level designers, these new maps push the limits of what's possible in the Half-Life engine. So they basically took the limits of the Gold Source engine and were like, oh, let's go back and work on it. And they basically doubled all the limits of the engine and were like, oh, we can fix this, expand this. And they're like, oh, it's possible to make really good looking maps in Gold Source now. Let's use this as a showcase of what the kind of maps you can build in Gold Source now, which is like nuts. That's like, you remember like the Dimension of the Machine when the Quake 1 remaster came out and Machine Games made the Dimension of the Machine campaign for Quake, and like, here's cool shit you can make in like the Quake engine running through Kex. It's like, I love this restoration of old awesome boot. Like, I love Half-Life 1. I played it last year and I loved it, and it's so cool to see, you know, a Night Dive level like just love of the game, but like, it's the 25th anniversary of this iconic game, and we're actually going back and fixing up and making it playable for so many more new people.
It's good.
There's 3 new multiplayer maps from a CD called Half-Life Further Data at retail stores, and we finally included much of that content. 2 new multiplayer models, dozens of sprays. While playing a bunch of multiplayer matches, we kept wanting more sprays, so we grabbed several megabytes of them for further data research. There's a full changelog, but I was watching, I watched the NoClip podcast a lot, and Danny O'Dyer was talking about, NoClip is a great YouTube channel where basically they have crowdfunded documentaries about video games. Awesome thing if you've never seen it. But he was saying he started basically a new company called Secret Tape, and he was like, we can make these really good documentaries, but we want to get like a more stable cash flow so we can do more stuff. Why don't we just make documentaries for hire? We'll make this Secret Tape company and be like, we'll make a documentary for you if you hire us, basically. And he was like, I'm working on a secret project and I can't talk about it, but when it comes out, it's going to be at the front page of Reddit. And he basically, NoClip has made this documentary through Secret Tape. There's an hour-long documentary where they interviewed all of the original developers of Half-Life 1, and they've been talking about it with them, and yeah, it looks really cool. I haven't watched it yet.
Is this the first project with Secret Tape?
Yeah, this is the first Secret Tape one, I believe.
Okay, that's a huge premiere project then.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to watch it yesterday, but I got really distracted watching a Twitch stream, and then I was like, oh, look at the time, I have to go to sleep now. That's the problem with watching Twitch streams before you go to bed, is they don't have a cutoff point. It's always just like, you can if you're like, okay, I'm going to go to bed in like an hour, I'm going to watch an hour YouTube video. It's like, oh, I'm going to watch a stream.
One more video, but yeah.
But it's like, oh, I'll watch a stream for a bit, and then it's like 3 hours later, and you're like, oh, I can't need to go to sleep now. But I really want to watch this, and I'm going to watch it. I'm a big Half-Life fan, and I'm probably going to try and play the new campaign as well, because I have played Opposing Force and Blue Shift, and if there's a new campaign I've never played, I'm interested to try that out, see what it's like.
Yeah.
So, it's
really cool to see this.
What do you think of this, Tony? Are you going to load this up on your Steam Deck OLED soon, TM?
Oh my god, that's such a good idea. I'm okay, maybe. I think my plan. You didn't ask me on the podcast, but you asked me before, like what was my plan of buying a Steam Deck. I think I'm not gonna get it for Christmas, but like I might get it like after Christmas, or like order it like maybe like late December or so.
Just wait another year or so and get the Steam Deck 2 with the even more powerful.
I've seen people say that. I'm like, nah, that's like forever waiting, and like this is good enough.
Yeah. You never know with Valve. They might get bored and start making VR headsets or something. That'd
be great.
What was I going to say? You know, it'd be really interesting because Valve's basically said, "Hey, they've looked at the ROG Ally and they've looked at like the Lenovo Legion Go, and they've been like, yeah, it's a bump in performance, but it's not like a generational bump in performance. Like, and the amount you have to push to get there is like you're massively sacrificing battery life and having to put so much more wattage."
Because I've seen that OLED battery life is huge.
And they've basically said, hey, this is the template going forward. We would want a generational leap in performance, but still have the same like battery life, the same like, you know, reliability and all that stuff like that. Yeah, and you know what would be so interesting? I know they went with AMD. What do you think about the idea of the next Valve handheld being a NVIDIA chip? Because the only handheld we've seen an NVIDIA chip
like an ARM
has
NVIDIA
been
chip, sort of like SoC.
Yeah, we've only seen the Tegra chip on the Android, the NVIDIA Shield, and the Switch. And the rumored Switch 2 is going to be on a brand new NVIDIA chip. I think if Valve went to NVIDIA and like, hey, we want a new APU, what can you guys over at NVIDIA do? I think that would be so interesting to see. Or even like, man, an Intel APU would be interesting. I remember like Intel Xe graphics was the thing before AMD got their shit together.
The problem with the Intel CPU side is very inefficient compared to AMD. I think ARM-based stuff is like as efficient, if not more efficient than AMD. Wait, does I haven't watched the Digital Foundry stuff. Does that have x86 support, or did like they not go into like that sort of level of detail?
Does what have it x86 support?
The next
we don't know.
NVIDIA stuff.
We have no idea. I'm assuming it's going to be an ARM chip, but I think it would be so interesting to see NVIDIA, because NVIDIA showed off like some CPU stuff at like a CES this year or something.
Yeah, that's using ARM stuff.
I think it would be so interesting to see an x86 NVIDIA chip. That would be very interesting to see.
I don't think they'll do that though, because I could be mistaken. I could be misunderstanding some parts of what I've seen, but my understanding is like ARM is.
Well, they tried to buy ARM. Like people forget about that, but they literally tried to buy ARM, and then they couldn't get through it because of regulations.
All the stuff they showed in Taiwan this year was like interconnected with ARM stuff. Like, there's a reason why like he came up and like Jensen said like after not being able to buy ARM, oh, we're gonna keep working with them. It's like, well, yeah, of course you are. You have to. All their SoCs are going to be like ARM technology for sure, but I don't know if they like support x86 software in the same way. And I as much as like people are excited for Apple stuff, I think that might be the Achilles heel. I think there's a big issue. I think there's a reason why we're still sticking with that. I know reduced instruction sets makes like the CPU and GPU more efficient and stuff, but I think we're x86 here to stay at least for the meantime.
For now, there could be an ARM future that we're going to go into, but
absolutely. If we can keep translating, like we don't need like with the limited instruction sets and like just translate it, and that's possible, then I think we can get rid of x86. But we'll see.
We'll see. So we have the. I should just mention. When the Switch OLED was announced, I just said it's the Switch again, but with a shiny screen. And even though this is the Steam Deck again with a shiny screen, it is so much more in a lot of ways as well.
Better battery with a shiny screen.
But I will just say the Steam Deck, it's got a shiny screen now.
The thing is, how much was the Switch OLED? Like, was that more expensive or the same price as?
No, I think it was like the same. I was so confused when the Steam Deck OLED came out, because I was like, oh, surely the non-OLED version will be really cheap now, and it's like, no, it's not. It's like, well, why wouldn't I just get the OLED version?
Well, that's probably what they want.
Yeah, they probably just getting rid of stock of the LCD version, and then everyone had the OLED one.
Yeah, I think the way that you make like industry deals of like manufacturing like sort of requirements, that's what they would want. So,
well, we got more Steam news, Tony, because the Tony update is here. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Steam is working on allowing you to mark a game as private and hide it from your friends. Tony, finally, you can stop being harassed by me constantly asking you why certain games are inside your Steam library.
No, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it as long as I have the right to no comment. The Fifth Amendment.
But But yeah, if you want to buy those sus games that for some reason I
I
can't
could.
hide from the calendar on SteamDB, even though I would love to be able to, because I like to use the SteamDB calendar to look at new releases, and then there's like a bunch of fucking sus games on there that I don't want to see.
Yeah.
But
it's like it's good feature.
Maybe you played one of those games and you don't want your friends to see it. Hey, you can mark as private. I'm trying to think of the non-sus reason for this existing.
No, it's only sus stuff. Or you just don't want to like. I don't know.
You played a game that has strong political opinions and you don't want your friends to know about it. I don't know.
That's still sus though. Or you got a super religious family. You don't want to show you're playing like atheist simulator. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only for sus reasons, but it's fine. It's a legitimate reason.
Anyway,
like not everyone wants to share that information, right?
Yeah. Steam VR 2.1 came out. So this is the new Steam VR theater screen. To make room, we have sunset the old desktop game theater app. Moving forward, launching any non-VR application from Steam will be displayed on the theater screen and auto-hide the dashboard. So this is playing 2D games inside a VR environment. And this is what we've been hearing is what Valve's been wanting to go towards. Personally, this stuff doesn't interest me at all. I mean, I say that. No. I've never tried it. I never tried mixed reality until I got the Quest 3, and I actually think it's quite cool, but it's not something that, that I'm going to be playing a lot of time in. I think for me, most of my time in VR is still VR, like single-player narrative experiences is what I spend most of my time playing VR. Or Gorilla Tag. I just fucking love Gorilla Tag. So.
Yeah. Movement stuff or single player, yeah.
But yeah, cool to see that this is there now. I think this isn't replacing the media player, is it? I don't know. Because you can still watch... So the Steam VR media player has been in beta since 2016. So I don't know if this is removing the media player. Because it's a theater screen, or is it just for games? I don't actually know. I might have to test some of this stuff out, because I'm not 100% sure how it all works.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try playing a 2D Steam game in VR just to test this. That would be an interesting project to work on.
In bed.
But I think it's cool. Like, you can see here, like, when you have it in the virtual reality environment, it's got, like, this emissive reflection on it. It's, like, light. Yeah. Apparently, if you're using a mixed reality headset, you can have it, like, shining light onto your actual environment. So you could be playing in mixed reality, have a big screen, and have like the light be coming out onto your actual real life environment. Like technically, the Index has cameras on it, and I've seen a video. I think it was Brad Lynch was doing this. Sadly, it's Bradley. But I would be interested just to test it out on the Quest 3 because that sounds cool to try once, but probably not a game-changing feature. Because you can do this on the PSVR 2 as well. It lets you just play 2D Pancake PS5 games on it. And I've heard that lots of people have tried this with mixed results, whether they like it or not. And Tony, if you're like, well, I'm going to buy a Steam Deck and I'm going to buy a VR headset to play these new VR features, I've got to get a bunch more games now. The Steam sale is starting on Tuesday. And not only does it bring a bunch of sales for all of your favorite games that you can now hide, it's also the start of the Steam Awards, and there's a brand new category this year, which is Best Game on Steam Deck is the brand new category. I believe, wasn't it last year's Best Game on the Go was the last category? So it's sort of similar to that, I guess.
I feel like they should keep it on the go to make it more generic, personally, considering they do have competitors. But
I guess the idea is it's the best game you can play on a handheld that's running Steam, so... Because I've been thinking about like I'm making my games of the year list now as we're getting towards the end of the year, and I'm thinking, okay, my main takeaways are, a lot of the games I played are remasters of games that came out years ago, and also a lot of the games I played weren't actually on Steam; they were on like Blizzard and Switch, so I can't actually vote for those on the Steam Awards. But we'll see.
You're gonna have to give it a Steam.
I'll write in a ballot. I'll write in my own ballot and I'll email it to Gabe Newell.
Yeah.
And he will read. He reads all of his emails legitimately.
Could you add Mario Odyssey to the Steam Awards?
Well, if it's tied to this year, I would probably put Wonder on there.
Wonder. Okay.
Let's move on to blunders. The Escapist had a bit of a blunder this past couple of weeks. They decided to fire their chief editor of The Escapist, who was, from what I heard, quite loved by the people who worked over there. He did quite a good job of turning the company around.
Yeah, he was responsible for like because they were losing like viewership and subscribers and things like because like people didn't care like 5 years ago. Like he was the reason like it's like growing again basically.
Yeah, basically, after he quit, after he got fired, Yahtzee quit, and basically there was like a domino effect. The entire
whole
group
video team
were like, okay, we'll move it. Like Jack Packard from Red Letter Media, it was a content creator over there. He moved over. Basically, they picked up the entire media team. With like, fuck this. The next day, started their own company called Second Wind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we've already had the first replacement for
Zero Punctuation.
Zero Punctuation, which is Fully Rambotic is the new name, right?
Fully Ramblematic.
Ramblematic, right?
It's an old name for an older.
We've got new look. It's like red and black theme instead of yellow.
It's a Phoenix.
New music.
Yeah, the music's really good, by the way. Like I always, okay. Zero Punctuation, super nostalgic for me. The new music is also fantastic, though. So
yeah, but yeah, a big blunder from the Escapists because they had a really talented team who were like, "Well, fuck, why don't we just do this ourselves? Why do we need you?"
Yeah,
which is
apparently they weren't allowed to like push Patreon as hard as they like because now they're basically only pushing Patreon or like other places like. And like their own personal projects, they weren't allowed to do that at the Escapist. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot by making it more corporate structured.
Yeah, I've watched
so now they're free.
I started to watch the Alan Wake 2 Fully Robotic video, but I didn't finish it because I don't want any spoilers about that game. So I was like, I'm very much avoiding even watching like gameplay on Twitch or trailers or whatever, right? Because I'm just wanting to go in that completely as blind as possible.
It's good to be safe. Yeah, for sure.
But it seemed pretty cool. I listened to the music. I saw him Yahtzee talk for a little bit. I occasionally watched him on because I think that was the big thing with the Escapist was I felt like they moved to YouTube from a website very late, and that kind of killed a lot of their momentum until they got turned around. But it's good to see that they're like, okay, we're going on YouTube. We're going to push everything. I think it's going to be a lot more successful for them, it seems. And hopefully we see more cool stuff. There was another video that you'd never... from a series you hadn't seen before.
It was like Developer Delve. But like, Developer... It's something along those lines. But like, apparently it's been like on the Escapists for a few years now. But like, I never saw it because like, I was only there for the Zero Punctuation. But now there's new life in this. So I was like, oh, I might as well check it out. And it's actually pretty decent, so...
Yeah, awesome to see. I don't know if you heard this. Apparently, companies were offering $1 for Hitman Dev IO Interactive when ScreenX was looking to offload it. I'd buy that for $1.
What?
Tony, I know that reference now. I can do the Robocop thing.
You do. I can't. Yeah, it's surprising how people I see that don't know it's a Robocop thing because they just re-quote it.
Yeah, they basically was trying to offload it after 2016 failed to please IO's owners at ScreenX. IO eventually managed to buy itself out from underneath them.
Yeah.
But yeah, some companies would offer $1 to take over IO because of the responsibilities and running costs, while others discuss the possibility of reducing the studio to a fifth of its size and just doing free-to-play Hitman. Which God. I think would have been pretty awful.
Oh, God.
What's
wrong with making a game and releasing it?
Yeah, let's move on to the fun news. There's some Apple news. Hades is coming to iOS via Netflix games, which is awesome to see. Tony, have you ever used Netflix? You don't have a Netflix subscription anymore, do you? I just forgot.
No.
Because I've actually downloaded a couple of games on my phone because if you have a Netflix sub, it's really fucking awkward how it works. You need to go to the Netflix app and then find the apps on the App Store, and then you can link your account.
Oh, they're separate?
Yeah, in order to download the iOS App Store version with your Netflix sub.
I guess in an ideal world, Apple would allow you to have it like install another app store, and Netflix would just be another app store.
What did I downloaded Hextech Mayhem and Reigns Three Kingdoms as the ones so I got that as part of my Netflix subscription, and I played a little bit of those, and I started playing Reigns. I like Reigns. I think it's a cool game. It's about making decisions, yes or no, on like a it's sort of like a strategy decisions game.
You can very quickly die.
I almost always very quickly die in Reigns, yeah. But it has a lot more of a tactical element, the Three Kingdoms one, from what I played. And I also started playing it in a car, and I was like, oh, I'm very motion sick from all this reading. And I haven't gone back and played it that much. I don't actually play games on my phone very often. I mean, I have a Steam Deck now, so whenever I'm in a situation where I'm out and about, and I know in advance, I will either, have my Steam Deck, or I'll just load up Slay the Spire on my phone. I mean, what a game. I think this is less of an instant buy for me than like Slay the Spire on iOS was, because it was like, I don't know how Hades will control with a touchscreen. I think it's going to be a bit more awkward.
How does this actually work if you stop having a Netflix account?
I don't think you'll be able to play. I think you're only able to play it with your Netflix sub.
Right.
Yeah, I think as soon as that's cut. So I guess because I have a Netflix subscription. I
always curious about how the
I'll be able to play this
works
anyway, so I will not need to buy it.
Yeah.
All you need is a compatible iOS device and a standard subscription to Netflix. You need to get on an iPhone or an iPad running iOS 16 or later. We will have the full requirements closer to launch. Oh, apparently on the Steam Deck OLED, you can run Hades at 120 FPS, not 120, 90 hertz on your Steam Deck OLED, I believe.
I assume it lasts a long while.
No, it was what was it? The Asus ROG with 120 hertz can also run Hades at 120 on that as well. Nice. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And apparently it's just on iOS. They are not bringing it to Android at all.
Fair enough.
Does Hades on iOS support clouds? It supports cloud saves and achievements through iOS, but due to technical constraints, you cannot transfer saves to the PC version of Hades.
Yeah, I assume they'd have to change data structures or something.
So having bought our prior titles Bastion and Transistor to iOS devices, we're excited that Hades will be joining them soon. I had no idea Bastion and Transistor were on.
I didn't know that iOS, either. Wait, how'd you get those? That's not the Netflix thing, is it?
I don't think so. Well, Bastion came out such a long time ago, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I know.
It was
unless they ported it recently, I don't
know. It's a free game that offers in-app purchases. So how does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, so you download it as like a demo and then you buy the full game for $5. Is how it works.
Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. That's actually a good way to do it.
Does it say when it came out on the? I'm just on the Apple Store at the moment.
I don't know, because the App Store seems to be really terrible at giving you useful information.
Version history.
Everything's current.
The version history goes back to 2019, so it's been on there for a while. Version history Transistor goes back to 2015. I think Transistor makes way more sense than Bastion and Hades in terms of gameplay for a touchscreen.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, this could be good. I mean, I've not tested like the bare bones one, which is like the PS5 controller you can put onto a phone, or or like a just using touch. You can also connect a Bluetooth controller to your phone. Like I could connect my PlayStation or Xbox controller to my phone if I wanted to use it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I might try Hades on my phone. I like Apple Arcade. I think that's really good. And from the couple of Netflix games I've been trying, it's been pretty cool. Wait, what? Not on the Steam Deck?
Why not? Why play on the phone instead of the Steam Deck?
Play what on the phone?
Most things that on
I used to not own a Steam Deck. When I had Apple Arcade, the Steam Deck didn't exist.
That's fair.
But I think there is a use case for a time when you're going to be like I was in the cinema. I think I talked about this. I was in the cinema super early because my parents don't want to miss the movie, even though there's always 30 minutes of ads. And I was like,
Yeah.
God damn it. And I just sat down and I played Slay the Spire for half an hour on my phone while I waited for the ads to finish so I could watch the Barbie movie. And I was legit. I was like, yeah, I like playing Slay the Spire on the phone. Maybe if I have to go half an hour early to watch trailers, maybe I'll just try and bring my Steam Deck into the cinema and just play on my Steam Deck.
Just always bring a Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's like not as. I mean, the Steam Deck is pretty big. That is one of the big
True.
issues, but you can't just always have it on you, right? It is pretty big and pretty heavy.
Get a strap, put it over your shoulder.
I should legitimately do kind of want a bag that is just to carry the Steam Deck around, and there's a lot of third-party ones you can get. And Resident Evil 4 is launching on iOS on December 20th for iPhone 5 Pro, iPhone Pro Max, and iPads with the M1 chip are later. I don't know. Did you see Digital Foundry just put out a video on Resident Evil 8 running on the iPhone and iPad? It runs it's pretty well. Crazy. It's basically the PC version of or the Mac version. Like it's the full version of it, but on a phone, and so you can basically change every single setting on there, which is pretty cool to see. And the Metal FX upscaling from Apple again is DLSS quality and is really good. So
I feel like I don't know, it's maybe not playable, but it's like super. The fact it's running at all is really interesting.
I mean, I would not want to play Resident Evil with a touchscreen, but
I feel like we're at a point now where there's like laptop. I'm considering even like the Steam Deck's kind of like a laptop tier CPU, APU sort of thing. I feel like they're getting better and better.
Did you see that recently Apple had to add RCS support to iPhones because of an EU mandate?
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Finally getting rid of those.
Love to see it.
Green bubble, blue bubble wars, and I don't know. There was like the creator of the Nothing phone was building like an app that would allow you to send iMessages to and from an Android phone by basically sending your message through like a Mac server farm in order to turn it into an iMessage, which I thought was hilarious workaround.
Insane solution to a
and apparently, thanks to the EU as well, you're going to be able to uninstall default Windows apps in those countries because, well, I don't know if we're affected because we're not in the EU. It's just in the EU territories.
But they tend. Okay, I don't know if you know this. Don't tell anyone. But the UK tends to ratify almost everything the EU does.
What?
Yeah.
So
now we just don't talk about it in the councils anymore.
What was I going to say? So you'll be able to uninstall stuff like I think it's Cortana and Microsoft Edge. You'll be able to uninstall Microsoft Edge.
Thank fuck. I've had to recently actually, like on my work laptop, like register edit, so like Edge wouldn't apparently like Edge has some really weird like downloading updates even if you don't use it in the background. It's so stupid. It's absolutely annoying.
But yeah, it will comply with the Digital Markets Act.
Yeah, good job. We need more of this. Keep especially software honest, because like I feel like we've had like Wild West for years now.
We're not on the list, Tony. The EEA is an economic and political union that spans 27 countries in the European and surrounding areas.
Yeah.
There's this country. I don't see England. I don't see the United Kingdom.
No, we won't be on there. So like these people like will be automatically getting this. So we have to do it ourselves again, but we tend to like copy almost every like word for word. What we have to ratify it separately. We won't be on the list.
But yeah, that's the end of the podcast. I've been your host, Joe Scorn, and I've been joined by Tony Tenzardi. I don't normally do an outro like this. You can check us out, youtube.com at Everything Inbetween podcast. If you want to watch us, watch the VOD and watch our Tangerina Spotlight series. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch us live. At Scorn2000 if you want to follow me on Twitter. And if you want to listen to the audio version of today's podcast or any others, it's shows.acast.com/everything-inbetween-podcast. There's links to Apple Podcast and Spotify, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.